Tiffany Wade was a force of nature. To her thousands of followers online, she was known as Nyla Amore, a symbol of success and empowerment. But beyond the screen, she was a dedicated registered nurse, a savvy entrepreneur, and a deeply loving mother to her 3 children. Born on June 17 in Coatesville, Pennsylvania, Tiffany came from a devoted Muslim family and carried her ambition with grace and determination. She earned her nursing license at the young age of 20, which, honestly, is such a testament to her intelligence and drive. Her life was a vibrant tapestry of professional achievement and personal devotion, really showcasing what was possible with hard work and a clear vision. She wasn't just building a life for herself, she was creating a legacy for her children to inherit and a blueprint for others to follow. Her entrepreneurial spirit was truly boundless. Tiffany didn't just stop at nursing. She saw opportunities everywhere and had the courage to pursue them. She launched a series of successful businesses that reflected her diverse talents and passions. There was Kisses Care Home Care, which leveraged her medical background to provide compassionate services to those in need. She also created Kisses Amore Extensions, a popular hair extension brand, and Seasoned Kisses, a line of food seasonings. Her ventures were a direct reflection of her personality, caring, stylish, and full of flavor. She was a master of branding, using her social media presence to connect with customers and inspire fellow entrepreneurs with her journey. Tiffany's life was one she proudly shared with the world. Her social media accounts were a curated gallery of her accomplishments and the beautiful life she had built. Followers saw her enjoying the fruits of her labor through luxury shopping trips to Chanel and Gucci, and breathtaking international travels to destinations like London and Egypt. She wasn't just showing off, she was documenting a journey of transformation, proving that a woman could achieve financial independence and live life on her own terms. Her posts were often paired with motivational quotes, sharing her philosophy on overcoming obstacles. One particularly poignant quote she shared was, "Every storm is not a test from God. Some storms are from the choices you made," a reflection that would later seem tragically prophetic. At the heart of her world were her 3 children, her eldest daughter, a middle child, and her youngest son, who was just 7 years old. Every business she built, every goal she achieved, was ultimately for them. She was a hands-on mother, balancing her demanding career with the everyday joys and responsibilities of parenthood. Her eldest daughter, now tasked with caring for her younger siblings, has stepped up to maintain her mother's social media presence, ensuring that Tiffany's story and legacy continue to inspire. Tiffany was more than just a provider, she was a role model, showing her children that with resilience and faith, they could build any life they dreamed of. The day of October 7, 2023, began like any other Saturday for Tiffany and her family. It was a day for errands and quality time. That afternoon, she took her 7-year-old son for a haircut, a routine parental task that should have been, mundane and safe. They arrived at the Platinum Cuts barbershop on the 2500 block of West Lehigh Avenue in North Philadelphia around 1:15 p.m. The atmosphere inside was likely filled with the familiar buzz of clippers and casual conversation. Just minutes before arriving, at 11:47 a.m., Tiffany had posted her final story on Instagram, completely unaware of the horror that was about to unfold. Her day was focused on her son, a simple act of love that placed her in the path of unimaginable violence. The sequence of events that followed is chillingly precise, pieced together by investigators through eyewitness accounts and security footage. At approximately 1:47 p.m., the barbershop door opened, and Armand Hilton, Tiffany's ex-husband and the father of her young son, walked inside. There was no argument, no heated exchange. Without hesitation, Hilton allegedly raised a firearm and shot Tiffany twice, once in her torso and once in her head. The brutal act was committed in plain view of everyone inside, including their own child, who was there for his haircut. The violence was swift, shocking, and utterly devastating, turning a place of community into a scene of tragedy in a matter of seconds. The immediate aftermath was chaos and panic. The first frantic 911 call was placed at 1:49 p.m., just 2 minutes after Hilton entered the shop. The patrons and staff who had just been going about their day were now witnesses to a cold-blooded murder. Paramedics and police rushed to the scene, but Tiffany's injuries were catastrophic. Despite their efforts, there was nothing they could do to save her. At 2:04 p.m., less than an hour after she had arrived for her son's haircut, Tiffany Wade was pronounced dead at the scene. A routine family outing had ended in the most brutal way imaginable, leaving a community in shock and a young boy traumatized for life. The crime sent ripples of horror through Philadelphia and beyond. The fact that it happened in broad daylight, in a public place, and in front of her child, underscored the perpetrator's brazen disregard for human life. Tiffany, a woman known for her strength and success, had been violently taken from the world. The news quickly spread, amplified by her significant online following, who were left heartbroken and searching for answers. How could a woman who had built so much, who had overcome so many obstacles, meet such a violent end? The tragic events of that Saturday afternoon marked the end of a beautiful life and the beginning of a desperate search for justice. To understand the motive behind this horrific act, one must look at the complex and troubled history between Tiffany Wade and Armand Hilton. Their relationship was intertwined with crime and finance long before the fatal shooting. Years earlier, while Hilton was facing serious criminal charges for kidnapping, robbery, and weapons violations, he made a calculated decision. To protect his assets, including properties and other wealth, from being seized by the authorities, he transferred everything into Tiffany's name. The understanding was that she would act as a caretaker for his finances, holding them for him until he was eventually released from prison. It was a plan built on a fragile foundation of trust. However, during Hilton's incarceration, Tiffany's life underwent a profound transformation. She did not simply sit and wait. Using the assets he had entrusted to her as a springboard, she unleashed her entrepreneurial potential. She legally established her businesses, the home care agency, the hair extension line, the seasoning brand, and built a legitimate empire from the ground up. She found incredible success, creating a new life for herself and her children that was entirely her own. As her independence and wealth grew, she made the decision to sever ties with Hilton and his criminal past. She sold some of the properties he had transferred to her and moved on, even starting a new relationship. When Armand Hilton was finally released from prison, he did not find the woman he had left behind. He found a successful, independent powerhouse who had moved on without him. In his eyes, she had not built an empire, she had stolen his. He felt betrayed and entitled to the wealth she had created. This sense of betrayal quickly curdled into rage, and Hilton began a campaign of harassment and threats against Tiffany. He sent her a series of menacing messages, each one escalating in its violent tone. He was not just angry, he was making it clear that he intended to cause her harm for what he perceived as the ultimate deception. Fearing for her life, Tiffany did not stay silent. In a brave but ultimately tragic move, she made Hilton's threats public, posting screenshots of his messages on her social media accounts for all her followers to see. The messages were terrifyingly direct. "You marry this __, I'm blowing his head off on everything I love. I'm going back to prison," one read. Another stated, "I'ma get it done. I'm a psychopath. You ain't making it out of Philly." He even used their son as a pawn in his threats, writing, "That boy, their son, is the only reason you're still walking around. So you better thank my son in Allah." She was creating a digital trail of his terrifying promises, a cry for help that went unanswered. The investigation into Tiffany Wade's murder moved swiftly, thanks to the mountain of evidence left behind. The lead detective, Raymond Martinez of the Philadelphia Police, had a clear path to follow. The entire horrific act was captured on the barbershop security cameras, providing irrefutable visual proof of the crime. At the scene, investigators recovered 2 9mm shell casings, though the murder weapon itself was not found. But perhaps the most damning evidence came from Tiffany herself. Her public social media posts, which documented Armand Hilton's escalating threats, provided a clear motive and a direct link to the suspect. The digital trail she left behind became a crucial part of the case against her alleged killer. Based on the overwhelming evidence, an arrest warrant was issued for Armand Hilton. He is now facing a slate of serious charges, including murder in the first degree, robbery, and violation of the Uniform Firearms Act. The case has since escalated to a federal level, with a charge of interstate flight to avoid prosecution added, turning the manhunt into a nationwide effort led by the U.S. Marshals. Hilton, a 44-year-old from Chester, Pennsylvania, remains a fugitive. Authorities have warned the public that he is to be considered armed and extremely dangerous, a man who has already demonstrated his capacity for cold-blooded violence in the most public and brazen way. As the search for Hilton continues, the community and law enforcement are asking for the public's help. A substantial reward of $20,000 is being offered for any information that leads directly to the arrest and conviction of Armand Hilton. Authorities are urging anyone with knowledge of his whereabouts to come forward and help bring a measure of closure to Tiffany's grieving family. The search is not just about capturing a fugitive. It is about securing justice for a woman whose life was stolen, and for a child who has to live with the memory of witnessing his mother's murder at the hands of his own father. Today is August 3, 2025, and as Armand Hilton remains at large, the memory of Tiffany Wade shines as brightly as ever. She was more than a victim. She was a nurse, an innovator, a mother, and an inspiration. Her story is a heartbreaking reminder of the failures of a system that could not protect her, despite her public cries for help. Yet, her legacy endures through her children, and the countless lives she touched with her ambition and spirit. We must continue to share her story, not only to honor her memory, but to demand justice and advocate for better protections for all victims of domestic threats. Tiffany Wade deserved to see her dreams fully realized, and her light will not be forgotten.